Hello students. After discussing the concept of normalization and all the normal forms, in the next topic we have to study two very important properties that are related to normalization. So let's start with this. First is the lossless joint decomposition. What this property is, let's see the definition. This property guarantees that if a table is decomposed into two or more child tables, then on performing the join of the two child tables, we should retrieve the parent table. This otherwise, if we cannot find the situation, the decomposition is lossy. It is a mandatory property that should always hold. This is the numerical definition. Suppose I have a relation R and I am decomposing, because on normalization I am decomposing that relation R into two sub-relations R1 and R2, where R is my parent table and R1 and R2 are my child table. Then these are the conditions on which we can say that the decomposition is lossless. So if the attributes of R1 and the union with the attributes of R2, I can retrieve the attributes of R. I'll give you an example. Suppose I have a relation R which is having attributes A, B, C and D, and I am decomposing that relation R into R1 and R2. R1 is having attributes A and B and R2 is having attributes C and D. Then if because we have divided the total number of attributes into two different tables, and on union of these two child tables I can get the main table, the parent table, then we can say that the decomposition was lossless because none of my attribute is lost. You have to make sure that while decomposing, when you join the two tables, the two child tables, there should be no extra tuple generation. There should be no extra tuple generation. Also, there should be no tuple loss. It means the number of attributes and the number of tuples should remain same if we combine the child tables. The second condition is, these all are the mandatory conditions to check if the decomposition is lossless or not. Second condition is attribute of R1 intersection with attribute of R2. It means they should not be equal to 5. It means there should be at least one common attribute among the two child tables. Between the two child tables, I should have at least one common attribute. The intersection of the attribute should not be 5. Right. Third important condition is that the intersection of attribute R1 and attribute R2. It means the common attribute. The common attribute should be the candidate key of either one of the child table. The common attribute can be the candidate key of R1, or the common attribute can be the candidate key of my child table R2. So this is the description that if we are when we perform the union of the two relations, the attribute we should receive all attributes of parent table should be covered in the child table. There should be at least one common attribute between the child tables, and the third property, that the common attribute between the child tables should be key of at least one of the should be a candidate key of R1 or R2. So next important property is dependency preservation. According to this definition of property, if a table R is having a functional dependency set F, F is denoting the set of functional dependencies for the table R. If the table R is decomposed into two tables R1 and R2, and we are having two functional dependency sets, F1 is the set of functional dependencies for R1, F2 is the set of functional dependencies for R2. Then we can say that there is dependency preservation if F1 is a subset or equal to F plus. F plus means the closure of functional dependencies. If you remember what is closure of functional dependency is, it is a set of all functional dependencies that I can imply or derive by applying the Armstrong rules to my initial set of functional dependencies, right? So the union of F1 and F2, and when I calculate their closure, it should be the closure of my F plus. In short, what it means is there should be no loss of functional dependency. If it means, if earlier I was having suppose 5 functional dependencies in my initial table, after decomposing the initial table into 2 child table, I definitely have to distribute the functional dependencies into according to 2 different tables into F1 and F2. When I perform the union, it should be equal to this. It means none of my functional dependency should be lost. I should be able to preserve all the functional dependencies as in my parent table. See this mathematical notation. Suppose R is my relation, F is the set of functional dependencies, R1 is the one relation, and F1 is the set of functional dependencies for R1. F2 is the set of functional dependencies for R2. When I am performing join, I am combining these R1 and R2 again into R. Then I have to perform union on F1 and F2. That should be equal to F, or their closure should be equal to F. Closure means if we can able to imply, if we can able to conclude, right? Then we will say that our decomposition is dependency preserving, right? So let's understand this property using 2 examples. Let's start with this. Suppose I am having a relation R with the attributes A, B, C, and this is the initial set of functional dependencies that is given A to B, B to C, and C to A, right? Suppose I decompose my relation R, A, B, C into 2 relations. I'm sorry, I forgot to write down R1 and R2 here. It is R1 and it is R2. R1 AB and this is R2 BC, right? Now I have to distribute these functional dependencies into 2 sets. How we will distribute it depends on the attributes that are covered into that particular relation. What I mean is, if I am having only A and B in this particular R1, then I cannot use C to A and B to C in this, because this particular relation R1 is not having the attribute C. So I cannot include B to C and C to A into this R1. Similarly, because I am not having A here, I cannot distribute A to B and C to A here. So how I have derived these functional dependencies, let's start with the very first functional dependency that was given to me is A to B, right? A to B, I have written it there because A and B both attributes are available there. If you can see, I can conclude one thing from here. I am having A to B, I am having B to C, I am having C to A. Using this C to A and using this B to C and C to A, applying the transitivity rule, I can conclude B to A. Using B to C and C to A, it means C is dependent on B, A is dependent on C, I can conclude A is dependent on B, right? That is why I have written B to A. This is one of the functional dependency B to A that I have concluded using the rules, right? I have to find out